All right. Let's get into this, man. So for those of you guys who don't know, recently, back in like early December, I made a video explaining a little bit of my perspective and what I've seen from the Diaspora War and what I read off of this one like PDF document explaining the relationship between African Americans. And a lot of the problems that I seen that we face were like on the psychological side, especially of things like racism, colonialism, and I'm pretty sure a lot of everyone in here knows about these events. So this was basically based off of diaspora war that been going on between Africans and African Americans back in late November. You guys all remember this? And a whole lot of videos being thrown left and right, people accusing each other of certain things. And so in this podcast, we're here to gain different perspectives from everyone. So we're here to learn from each other. And I sort of want to hear what you guys have to say about certain things that were said and a couple of questions that I got asked. So with that being said, I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. So I'm Bior, leader of this podcast, founder of this Discord server, and you will probably most likely be seeing this on my YouTube channel. That's all you need to hear from me. Guardian, introduce yourself next.
Hello, I'm Guardian. I also do something similar to Bior. I have a what's it called, an Instagram. I also share I post educational posts, and I'm also like Dinka. So I was like I'm an explorist. So every time I want to get in deep about something, I always go back into my DNA, my heritage, and I found out that I'm, I'm Nilotic a little bit. You feel me? That's why I'm here. But in reality, I'm an explorist and I love history. So yeah.
It's all right. Quay, you introduce yourself.
For sure, man. Y'all niggas know what's going on. That's your boy Quake, you feel me? Well, up in this bitch, you feel me? Fuck my nigga B York. And fuck my YouTube channel at Quincy. You know what I'm saying? We teach shit over there too. But yeah.
All right, man. Nashia, I don't know if I say your name right. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nisha. I do TikTok videos and stuff like that on behalf of like the diaspora and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically. And my TikTok handle is the same as this, so follow me.
All right, and then Sia, I don't know if I say your name right. I probably said it wrong. But introduce yourself. Let me know how to say your name. Yeah.
Yo, my name is Saya. I basically be doing TikTok videos on the diaspora, just different types of educational videos on AA culture and diaspora dances and stuff like that. So yeah.
Lit. All right, I'll probably like leave a link to all of your guys' links and descriptions. But all right, we're gonna go straight into the questions. So first question I want to ask everybody is how did you find out about these diaspora wars? Like the first moments, how did you feel about them? You know what I'm saying, and why? So Guardian, we'll start. We'll do the same order we just did when you guys listed out your names. So we'll just start like that.
So right with that diaspora war, I haven't really seen too much of it. The only thing I've seen of it when I was looking into South, Su- I mean, when I was looking into South Sudan, and an accident came across it, and I felt that I wanted to learn about it. So my knowledge is very little. That's why I'm here to I'm open to ears to a lot of people. So yeah.
All right, bet. All right. What about you, Quake?
Like, I seen that shit on TikTok, you feel me? Just
Yeah.
scrolling and shit. And then my reaction was, brother, that's some cool ass shit right here, you feel me? So, I really like it that much. I'll bash for it. Let me tell you.
All right. What about you, Nasir?
I found out about the diaspora wars through that little what's that sound? I'm Big Carvin, don't call me Kim. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where it came about for me. Before that, it was like I don't know. I barely seen it unless I got tagged in like a video or something.
How'd you feel when you seen it, like all the crazy stuff going?
Probably like he said, like coonery, basically. So
All right. What about you, Sia? I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Like tell me if I'm saying your name right, cause like.
You're good. It's pronounced Saya.
All right. How you feel
But
about it, Sia?
so when I first found out about Diaspora Voice, I can't exactly pinpoint when, but I know it was like way back then. I believe my first encounter was with I can't exactly say, but like it was between some Nigerian said something about African Americans, so and then it just started going back and forth and all that. I think it's really stupid. It's foolishness, and it just get us nowhere.
Mm. Yeah. I found out about the diaspora the same way you guys did. Like I seen that sound. I seen specifically it was like this one South Sudanese girl on TikTok, and like she was getting dragged bad, bro. Like it was crazy. But like, yeah, like I seen it under that sound, like the "Don't call me African, I'm African." Like no, "Don't call me African American, I'm African." I seen multiple South Sudanese people do this. So I was kind of just like, when I seen the video, at first I kind of just like tried to brush it off because I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think it would cause like so much drama until like I seen all the people like stitching them and like giving their opinion, and like I started seeing like people argue in comment sections and all that type of stuff. You know, cause when I first seen the videos, I had a feeling, I just had a gut feeling. Like I was like, yeah, I know this is gonna cause a whole bunch of problems, bro. But like, I was kind of hoping like it didn't, but like it ended up. We all know what happened. So, I guess the next question, since this is about the diaspora, and it's basically black people around the world arguing with each other over the internet about what we would classify as like dumb things. What does being black mean to you? That's the next question. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. You don't have to get like way too deep into like all that stuff, but like just like some short little summary. Like what do you think? Not what, maybe something what makes you be what makes you black, or like what does being black mean? Like what is the black experience globally? What is something that we could all relate to? So I'll start with you, Guardian.
I feel like being black and stuff like that. I mean, going back to like African roots and stuff like that is unifying. Like being black. Like let me give you an example. Like when Mansa Musa was like conquering like the Mali Empire, he he was like he was like, what's his name, Chadwick Boseman to Wakanda. You feel me? He was like he was like the structure. He was like the power structure of the of his empire basically. And being black, right? He done a lot of things, and one of the things was, he give back to his people. He was helping farmers. He was helping with all this stuff, and like he was just supplying his people with the best needs. So, and also being black is just not by the color of their skin, but I just find it as unity. But I feel like that throughout time, that we have been separating. We have been separating ourselves just because of this desire, diasporas and stuff like that. Being black is like a whole big is bigger is I don't want to say that bigger than black and white, but I feel like there's just more to the picture. You feel me? But yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, what about you, Quick? Before you say anything, maybe like try to see if you could check your mic. I don't know, because it sounds like a little bit like I don't even know how to, like it's kind of hard to hear what you say.
I'm not gonna but like these you alpha and you omega, you the original people, you feel me? You the original man, you the original woman. And you know what I'm saying? You just the dope. That's what being black to me.
Alright. Hey, try to fix the mic. Couldn't really hear too much. I just you heard like said like original men, something along those lines. But yeah, I definitely agree with that though. You know, the original people. How do you? What does being black mean to you, Nashia?
I think being black is like more than like the skin color, like Guardian said. It's like an experience. Like, but just because you get the experience, because I know some people grow up around us, you know, no matter the ethnicity, and they feel like they're just welcome. But like I feel like you have to understand the history of like all black people to understand what being black means. So it's more like an experience than just a color.
I see. What about you, Saya?
I I don't know, because being black, it like they all said, it's definitely more than skin color. It's also culture, community. In terms of like the black experience, I know that's not universal because people have a different, definition of what is the black experience and some people don't go by black, even though they got black skin. Um, I just feel like being black is it's just very. I can't exactly like explain it, but I do know that being black is very important. It's very important to us, and yeah. Also, if you hear me like kind of breathing hard, it's because I've been walking for miles.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. But yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. Kind of have like a similar definition. It's kind of weird because it's like you guys said, like there's a whole bunch of different ways people would describe being black, you know, and like although like our experiences aren't exactly the same, like you know, you're like not everybody's ancestors and people went through exactly the same things. Like I do believe there are like general things that we could all relate to. You know what I mean? Like general things that we could all relate to. But also like find it like interesting, like I guess like, you know, to play like devil's advocate or however you, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but like a lot of people say like, you know, but back then, like they say things like back then we didn't all call each other black or this, that, and the third, you know? But like I think that's kind of like almost like I guess like a short-sighted way of seeing things, because it's just like it's almost like some people bring certain things up, like the different cultures that we have, different backgrounds. They bring that up to sort of ignore or to almost disregard like universal experiences and like universal things that like affect us all as black people. So like I guess like when it comes to being black, like one of the biggest things that we can relate to, like on a general scale, is like our experience and around the world. So next question is, how do you think these racist beliefs and stereotypes start? Because when it comes to like racist beliefs and stereotypes, these are like things that heavily affect the black experience. I don't want to say that they create the black experience necessarily, but like they're definitely like one of like the top things that like sort of affect the way that we live today in today's world. So I want to know what you guys think about these racist beliefs, stereotypes, how you think they start, and if you want to answer this extra question too, like how do you think it affects us like on a deeper level? So we'll start with you, Guardian.
I feel like the reason why all this stuff is like is happening, these stereotypes and stuff like that, is because, let's be honest, right? It's straight off looks. Because if you think about it, right? I think I have like personal experience. I've seen like this Latino person, right? Not it's Latina, right? And she physically said that black man right there looks like a gorilla. Like she even did a whole side by side comparison. And I feel like during the back in the days, they still had this stigma, right, about black people looking like monkeys and shit like that. And I was like, damn, you know. And I feel like this been going on for months and months. I mean, not months. I mean years upon years. And I feel like the people who are blame about these things is Charles Dawson and I forgot the other guy. Charles Dawson. There was this one other person. I feel like stereotypes were created by some type of people in a way that black people are viewed. So yeah.
I see. I see. What about you, Quay? How do you believe these stereotypes start? How do you think they affect us?
All right. Wait, is my mic better?
Yeah, it's a lot way better. Way better. It's
All
nice
right,
now.
bet. I feel like all these stereotypes and stuff is on us. Cause when you the best in the game, you feel me? Like you always gonna have everybody else hating on your shit. So, you know what I'm saying? We the best in the game, you feel me? We black people. We got the dominant genes, we got the oldest history and shit like that. So of
Yeah.
course niggas gonna be hating, they gonna be trying to throw dirt on your name and shit like that. And I agree with what Guardian said about the Charles Darwin and shit like that. You feel me? And I feel like they affect us because it affect our self esteem and like it affect how you view yourself. So yeah, that's what I think.
All right, that's very interesting. What about you, Nashia?
I think the biggest thing about the stereotypes is like people, like through history, it was easy to give us these stereotypes because where they placed certain black people, like no matter the ethnicity, things were going on in history like 24/7. So calling us barbaric because of the wars and stuff like that were being fought in various countries, the stuff that was going on in like America and stuff, it was just easy to label us as something. And I guess through the years, like you said, with like self-esteem, some people have like gave in to those stereotypes. And it's just like, I think it's just easy for them to put it off on us because they know that, we have a history. So
I see. I see. What about you, Saya?
Uh, I would definitely say social media is also a fact. Like not social media, but like how these white controlled countries portray black people in, like movies and um different types of, online things, and people from other places who are not educated about, different type of black people. They see this stuff and they see all these black people. Oh, they ghetto. Oh, they act like this. Oh, they do drugs and stuff like that. They have very narrow views because that's all they see. Because that's all these white people who control the internet portray. Cause and they just want to create a negative energy. I mean, not a negative energy, negative image on us.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I definitely agree. Sule, so okay, I'm gonna basically give you the question. I don't know if you heard it, but how do you think certain stereotypes and racist beliefs about black people started, and how do you think it affects us?
I think it just started with people trying to divide and conquer the diaspora, and it negatively affected a lot of people. It started having a lot of people believe all these like lies about a lot of people. Saying, "Oh, barbaric isn't you are barbaric, or you are crazy, or you monk." Like it's all this nonsense. But that's what I gotta say.
All right. Yeah, I definitely agree with basically what everybody just said, low key. Like, it's like a weird dynamic. So like a couple, it was like 2 days ago, Guardian showed us a video in this VC from Home Team History, and it was sort of like the name of the video was like why black people are viewed as a threat, and I think you guys, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Home Team History, you probably seen the video, and he just talked about like specifically from like a historical standpoint why black people have sort of been viewed as a threat, and like how actually like the idea that civilization and humans in general started and were birthed in Africa, like it's something that's been known for a very long time, since ancient Greece. Was like the first non-Africans to say that type of stuff were the Greeks, who were saying that it was the Ethiopians or like the Africans who birthed civilization and where all humans come from. And it's crazy how that could be from like, I don't know, like 3,000 years ago, and like 3,000 years later in 2023, like a lot of the stuff that we know today, sort of it coincides with what that person said. You know, if you look at ancient Egypt and ancient Nubia, for example, you'll see like the whole tradition of kings and pharaohs that came from the Nubian Sea group. You'll see historically and archaeologically that, you know, civilization or kingship started within Africa. And then obviously we all know about like things like the out of Africa theory. We know that humanity, you know what I'm saying, the birthplace of humanity is in Africa. Everybody, even, did you guys all hear about that study saying like everybody in the world came from Sudan? Y'all heard that? Like,
Nah. I
Yeah.
it was like a study from Oxford University saying like everybody living today is has like originally came from Sudan, so we're all Sudanese. But even too, like in the ancient world, like the Arabs, they used to come through Africa, especially West Africa. They seen the West African kingdoms. This was mentioned in the video, and they would see the wealth of especially the West Africans. You know what I mean? And like they would even say like, if you want to escape poverty, make a trip to the Sudan. And they didn't mean like just today's Sudan, but like Sudan as in like basically like the whole, almost like the Sahel region. You know what I'm saying? Mainly referring to like the West African kingdoms. And so the reason why like I'm bringing all this up is because like it's almost like that dynamic. Like say like I don't know if you guys like, I don't know if you the females will relate to this, but like if you're a guy, right, and you got a female and like the guy next to you, he's just better than you in every single way possible. Bro, I'm saying it's the worst, one of the worst feelings, bro. Like this guy, like he's more athletic than you, he's stronger than you, he got more money than you, all that, he's just checking all the boxes. That's what I feel like the kind of dynamic is when it's like, when it's kind of like that, why people view black people as a threat, and why like, especially black men, like why like people want to say certain things and like spread certain stereotypes about us. You know what I mean? Like in reality, like us black people, we were just chilling. Like, you know, we didn't ask for racism. We didn't start it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's my general opinion. I don't know if you guys might agree. I don't know if you guys might agree with that analogy that I just gave, but that's kind of how I view it. And so the next question that I got for you guys is, have you ever believed in any of these stereotypes, whether you're African or African American? Did you ever believe the African stereotypes of living in huts? How true do you think they are? If you're African, have you ever believed that African Americans are like, you know, ghetto and that type of stereotype? Have you ever believed in these stereotypes? So it's gonna be an interesting one. Start with you, Guardian. Have you ever believed in any of these stereotypes? Yo, you hear me?
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. So, like, okay. So with the stereotype thing, right? About Africans, right? The first time I mean, I didn't have that type of view on it. I feel like, you know, the thing when I look at it, I just feel like, you know, resources have been taken, things have things have been stolen. We've been used for years, 400 plus years. So I think like when I was growing up, I already knew the condition that it was already in. So I never had like a stereotype. You feel me? I never had the stereotypes of people being huts and all this shit, man. So yeah.
What about you, Quick?
Me, shit, like hell yeah, cause the brainwashing and shit like that, you feel me? But at the same time, like, bro, if y'all ever see the inside of them African huts, them shits be nice as a motherfucker. Like, I swear to God, bro, them bitches be nice as fuck, on God. But yeah, man, but you know what I'm saying? As you learn and you get older, you start programming yourself from all that bullshit.
All right, yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. What about you, Nasir?
Really, because of my upbringing and like my background, no, I never believed like the certain things that the media portrayed about mostly West Africa, because we didn't really, everything was almost always about West Africa, and when it was about East Africa, it was like always about Sudan. So You never really believed it because like my mom would be like, yeah, that's not true, blah blah blah, don't believe that. So yeah, none of it really ever stuck with me. So the diaspora war thing is like new in general. So
Okay, I see. I see. What about you, Syed?
Yo, we can't hear it.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, we gonna skip over to you. All right. Okay, wait. Your mic working? You still there? Can you hear us?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear.
Okay. So I would say like I didn't have the only thing I really viewed was that a lot of Africans used to live in huts, but of course, like uh, Quake said, that was like due to conditioning. I what's the word? Dislearned those stereotypes very fast because like I started to get into like the research of Africa at a very young age, like around like late middle school, 7th, 8th grade. So I kind of stopped learning those negative things about Africa. And after I, learned all these new things, it was an eye opener, and I just started getting more interested here and there.
Okay, I see. I see. What about you, Sule?
All right, when it comes to African American, not really, just because I've been around with African Americans, and I have my ups and downs with African American, but it wasn't really like, oh my God, they're so bad, they're bad people. Like, no, I'll just be, they just be chilling. So I didn't really have an issue with like seeing African Americans like that. No, I really like think like all African Americans are in the ghettos, you know. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I see. I see what you guys mean. Now, me personally, right? I won't lie. Like I never like same thing with Sule. Like when it came to African Americans, I didn't really believe the stereotypes that much, just because like I mean I lived in America. I was around African Americans enough to know like yeah, like not every African American is the same type of way. But like weird and like in a weird way, I've I did believe the same things about Africa a little bit, not fully, like but like as an African, I did believe like, yeah, like a lot of Africa is in trouble. Like if you were to show me like, especially like my younger self, if you were to show me like what Cape Town looked like and all that type of stuff before I seen it, like I would have been like I would have genuinely been surprised. Now like I have heard my parents talk about Africa and say things like it's like this over here and it's like this over there, but like especially like as a South Sudanese, like my specific background didn't really come from like one of those wealthier places in Africa. Like my parents, before like the second Sudanese civil war, they were basically living like the traditional like village life. My mom even told me like she didn't even know that other cities within southern Sudan even existed until like she had to leave and like go all the way to Kenya. My dad, he went to Ethiopia, then he had to go to Kenya. So like I was very used to like the whole like stereotype of like war child or African war childs like escaping from war, mass hunger. So I've sort of believed those stereotypes in some sort of way. And like going specific towards African Americans, like yeah, I had like little ups and downs with them. Like back then when I still lived in Pennsylvania, like it was actually a weird down. Like every single summer, like me and all the African friends I knew in the neighborhood, like we'd be chilling, but like we would always get into fights with African Americans over like very stupid things, just like stereotypes, us being African, like literally like mainly like we were like us Africans, like we were like on the receiving end of it, especially me. Like it was mainly like, oh, you're African, like don't touch me, don't look at me, like don't this, that, and the third. But it's just because of like the stereotypes and like even times too, like where we got into fights and then like our parents got together and like talked it all out. Like like we would always realize like yeah, like we're the same people. You know what I'm saying, in a sense, and that like all that we know about each other is like stereotypes. And I won't even lie, it's even some of my parents too. Like it's mainly my parents. Like whenever I hear that Africans like stereotype African Americans a certain way, like I haven't been around way too many Africans recently, but like I mainly thought that was just like a thing African parents did, just out of because like they're new to America. You know what I'm saying? Like it was especially like my in my parents' situation, like they they mainly like they came to America through the help of white people. You know what I'm saying? And white media kind of helped them believe certain things. But like even in my parents, I noticed like as they've interacted with African Americans more, they sort of let these stereotypes go. So yeah, that's basically my personal perspective, how my life kind of went. So concerning these stereotypes, I don't if you guys didn't answer the question already, like besides like the obvious things, like what made you I actually, you know what, forget it. Skip this question, bro, cuz like you already answered it. So I ain't gonna forget I asked that question. But how do you feel when other people's like perpetrate these stereotypes? How do you feel when that happens, when other people like forcibly push these stereotypes, especially on others? Like I've seen this a lot too with like on within the diasporas, and I've seen this just like in person as well. Like some experience, just like me just like remember like one time like I was in school, was playing basketball, and like I was trying to hop in, and then someone told me like, shut up, you like you black as shit, or like some shit like that. So how do you feel when people like sort of perpetrate these stereotypes and like these negative ideologies about blacks, Africans, African Americans? How do you feel when you see that happen with your own two eyes? So we'll start with you, Guardian.
Okay, so for the most part, um, I would like to say that the reason why this comes is from I think it comes from parents, or it comes from influence, or it comes from what I've said before. It has to come from looks alone. So if you're the darkest man alive, right? I mean, darkest man in the team, you're going to be noticed like heavily by just the color of your skin, and just off that, people will just rebound and keep rebounding off your looks and just throw anything at you. And people also have this one thing for if they will just clown you for the fun of it, for entertainment.
Yeah, I see what you mean. What about you, Quick? How do you feel when people um perpetrate these stereotypes?
Like me personally, I feel a mix of array of different emotions, like from being mad to me laughing at them to being like kind of having sympathy for them. But I'm gonna start with being mad. Obviously, y'all know the reason I'm mad. Like nigga, like it's not true. And then laughter. Sometimes I laugh at them because I'm like laughing at their ignorance. I'm like, look at this dumb motherfucker over here. And then like the sympathy part, sometimes I just feel sad for them. I'm like, damn, you so brainwashed. Like, you feel me? Like,
Yeah,
damn, bro. Yeah, so yeah, that's how I feel.
I see. What about you, Nashia?
I think mine is mostly like sympathy, because like some people, like even in my own ethnicity, don't know everything about their own culture, and then they don't know who to be mad at. So perpetrating these stereotypes is like, I guess, an easy way out, but they don't understand. Like, not let's not lie, they understand. They, I guess, they're too ignorant to get that, like perpetrating these stereotypes. You wouldn't like it if somebody came and called you ghetto or a hood rat or all of that. But I feel like some of them, most of the xenophobic ones, they just want to play victim, and that's just really how it is. So
Yeah, I see. I definitely agree with that. What about you, Saya?
I like when people like perpetrate these stereotypes. Well, for the most part, they're ignorant. Um, I do really think I do know that most of us we do have access to the internet, and we should be able to unlearn these stereotypes that we have for each other, especially my own towards the African people. I feel like it's just you, these you're ignorant. You can learn a lot from just like hearing other people, hearing African voices, watching different types of YouTube videos. And also I do also feel a little bad for them because just like like dang, like you be thinking this way and like it's so easy for you to like change your mindset and all.
I see. What about you, Sule? How do you feel when people perpetrate these stereotypes?
It's so retarded. They never question where they get this belief or where they get these ideology from. But hey, I guess a lot of people are dumb. So yeah.
I see. And then these two questions, they basically like run off the back of what we just answered. How do you think this affects us in our position in the world? Like, how can we progress? How do you think that affects our ability to be able to do that? And based off of that, what is your personal message to the community? Everybody. What's your personal message? So we'll start with you, Gardner.
Personal message. Can you give me like a detailed, like, talk about it more? Like, get like talking in like in a sentence for me to understand it better.
Like, okay, so like due to these like stereotypes and like people who like all this chaos going on, right? We got all these problems, like internal problems and external problems. We got within like what we call the black community globally, like on a global scale. So based off of all these problems, all this stuff going on, like how do you think it affects our ability to be able to like progress as people? And based off of that, what is your personal message? What would you tell? What's your advice? Or like words of wisdom?
I feel like for the most part, with these type of stereotypes, bro, it could like influence a lot of people with like without it's like harming somebody mentally. It's like putting like a picture on somebody when they're really not that type of person. You know, it's like when a when a black parent, right, takes their kids to school, and then like none of the kids are like in the school are like really black. They're just more so are different races. I feel like a personal experience. I feel like for the most part, I've been to like a white not white school. There was like Latinos and whites, but I never seen people of my color. You feel me? Like I didn't see black people. So the thing is, all right, with people like they just build it off of you, shit like that. And my personal message is like it kind of it kind of distrusts people, for the whole BLM thing, like with the white people, white officers are scared to do like they're scared out of their lives because they might think that this black individual is trying to is trying to do some harm to them or something like that. Or every time they try to get like an ID or not an ID license and registration and try to give it to them, the cop might think like this guy's trying to pull out a gun on me and stuff like that. That's why black individuals are so scared of the police that they're shaking in their boots. And I feel like we have to like feel like physically and mentally have to change that idea. It's a horrible thing in humanity. You don't want to go out and think like and get like you don't want somebody to think bad about you, right? But you didn't do anything. It's like you just walking casually, and then some guys like might shout out to you and be like, "That guy's a thief," That's horrible. And that could stir up drama, and then that could get people involved and stuff like that. There's been times where people would like get caught into drama, for an example, and like the audience doesn't know what's going on, and so the audience might go towards the speaker, meaning somebody that's just taking the offense, and they're just taking his side, and so like I've seen a lot of that's why a lot of innocent people like go to jail, right? without doing anything. Some people get prosecuted for no reason, you know. I feel for the most the thing we could do for humanity is to change. So yeah.
I see. I like that. What about you, Quake? How do you feel about this? If I need to you need me to restate the question, or you got it?
Uh, I think you can restate it, bro.
All right. So based off of all of these stereotypes and these problems, internal and external, within the black community at whole, including everybody, how do you think this affects us and our ability to be able to progress as people? And based off of that answer, what is your personal message and words of wisdom?
For sure, for sure. I think that it affects our personal perception of love towards one another. You know what I'm saying? If we don't love each other, then we become destructive to each other. So my message is black love promotes black unity, and black unity will fix the black community. And also stop being coons. You feel me? So that's my message.
Facts. All right, what about you, Nasir?
I like what he said. How he said, black unity affects the community, but I think we can't reach any like point of unity if we don't like mend our circle first. Like we're the if all black people in the world were to like, come together, we and let's just say hypothetically make a country, we'd be the third largest country in the world. So that's just like something to think about. Like imagine if everybody in the African diaspora could find a point of like a unity point and kind of work off of that. I think that's what they're scared of. And like if we keep on with these like diaspora wars and stuff like that, the people, they're getting what they want. Like to see us fight, that's what they want. So I think the only way we can fix what we like the problems that we have now if we start in the inside and work our way outwards.
Okay. I agree with that. What about you, Saya?
Oh yeah, can you ask the question one more time?
Yeah. Hold on, give me 1 second. Gotta look back at my notes. So based on all these problems within the community, both internal and external, how do you think this affects the black community at whole, on a global scale, and our ability to be able to compete with anyone in this world? And based off of that, what is your personal message?
It, I feel like this stuff like affects us from progressing and stuff like that. All the different types of beliefs that we have towards one another. That's definitely an obstacle in our road from progression, because it's like if you can't exactly progress if you haven't unlearned and decolonized yourself, per se. Um, it's possible. It's definitely diaspora unity is possible, and of course, I know that there are obviously going to be people who don't want to change. Let's say Candace Owens, and people like that, Coons, Uncle Tom's, all them that they we have to leave them because as I always say, if you don't want to progress, leave these people because they're gonna be a stop in our road, and we can't save everybody. It's just too much. It's too much work. It's too much heartache and pain. So yeah, we can definitely push towards unity. We can definitely start having conversations towards one another, listening more, listening, less talking, less getting offended about what other people have to say and their experiences and stuff like that. So yeah.
I see. I definitely see what you mean. What about you, Sule?
Oh, most people need to get reprogrammed. I ain't gonna lie. Most people need to reprogram their mind, be more educated, and progress,
I see.
and also control their emotion.
Facts. Yeah. Like personally, like I want to kind of use this analogy of like, it's almost like I got it from like some self improvement YouTubers that I see, and I think that's like the main thing people need now, like specifically in the context of like uniting all Africans, like, you know, like you guys said, like you gotta like unlearn all the colonized information that you've been getting your whole life. You gotta unlearn it. And like, I guess I'll say like whoever put this stuff in place is like, it's like super smart, bro. Because like, it's not even just the fact that like people just don't want to just because they don't want to. Is that like a lot of people's mindset is like that's their problem. So like, imagine trying to tell Africans to unite when it's like their own mindset about how they view the world is already like flawed and messed up to begin with, to be able to achieve anything like uniting. Like united, like all Africa uniting, that's a big achievement right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? Like working together and cooperating. You know, so like the reason why most people can't even do that is because like our mindsets again are just like really, really messed up, you know? And I guess it's gonna kind of lead into the next question a little bit. But it's like you hear people like use their black card like off the basic, like they use the fact that they're black to sort of like spread certain messages that like I feel mess up other people's mindsets along with them. So like they'll say like things like all Africans have different culture, the whole idea of unity is stupid, or we shouldn't try it, like, you know, and tribalism versus racism and all this type of stuff. And it's like, yeah, like we do have these problems as a community, but like I feel like the identification between internal and external problems is like one key of like understanding Pan-Africanism and why Africans should unite. You know, back earlier I said like we all have like shared experiences, not the exact same experiences, but like we have like universal experiences that we like all share. You know, like all of our history is distorted. You know what I mean? Even if you're from the continent, like it's hard to find information about where you're from, where your people are from. A lot of like these, and like another crazy thing too is kind of like off topic, but like I mainly see people who like go by these terms like Cushitic, Nilotic, Bantu, including the Horn or Trolls, who like they try to separate themselves off the basis of those. And then when it comes to black, they always point towards white men and colonialism. When in reality, like these terms Nilotic, Bantu, West African, East African, or like it's really, even that was created by what's it called, Europeans specifically, you know? Like my ancestors, yeah, like they're Nilotic, but like we never specifically called ourselves Nilotic people. And like the same can be said for Bantus and Cushitics and all that type of stuff. And so like some people, and this is what like where it ties back into the mindset, because some people they want to escape blackness as a whole, but they'll accept certain things, especially when it's like it makes them an exception to the rule. You get what I'm saying? So like, oh damn. But yeah, so like people go by these terms, you know what I'm saying, and then call, you know, black as a race like a made up term, when in reality, like, yeah, these terms are based off of like real groups, but like at the same time, like being black is a real thing. It's not made up. You know, it's been noticed since ancient times. Like people know a black person when they see one. You know, it's like it's not even a real question. And so my personal message to the community would just be like, or to everyone, is really just like, change your mindset and how you view things. Nobody's saying, when people, like a lot of people interpret Pan-Africanism as erasing your culture for the identity of being black and that only, when in reality that's not really what it's really about. You know, it's about like, yeah, we still have our differences, but we can unite, especially when it comes to like the things that actually matter. You know, we can actually like make something out of ourselves, because we all have been, again, like I said, have distorted history. We don't even control our own narrative about ourselves, and we've all suffered from things like colonialism and like, you know, all that type of stuff. And so next question, kind of tying into this, is, do you think black people are all the same? Now this is gonna sound like a common sense question, but like, I don't know. I want you to like think about it. I want you to think about it. Like challenge, like whatever answer, whether you said yes or no in your mind, like challenge that belief, challenge it. So we'll start off with Guardian. If you need to take a minute to think, like, just go ahead and say it. Like, don't worry about the awkward silence. Just think about it. But yeah, Guardian, you ready to answer this question? If not, I don't know. We can wait or go to the next person who's ready to answer the question.
Okay, I'll just give you little knowledge that I have. You said that you would do all black people alike. I mean, genetically, we are different a little bit. You feel me? But I feel like for the most part, like African Americans, like where the ancestors and stuff like that, they're really West Africans. They came from boats. They were shipped boats all the way to America and all this stuff. I mean, for the most part, are we all related? Yes. Um, we are differently though. We are built. We are differently. But this is a very complex question. So I don't know how to. I don't know what else to put in. So yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I won't even lie. I don't even know how I'm gonna answer the question. So like, let me just see what you gotta say. Like, spin my answer off of that. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Quick?
I would say racially we all connect on the same level. You feel me? And I feel like that should be the most foremost and the most important thing that we connect on, and how we the same is racially. But I say like mentally, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? We ain't really the same because you got some cool niggas, you got
Yeah.
some smart niggas, you got some dumb niggas. You feel me? Like Eric, you know what I'm saying? So that's my perspective on that right there. I would say racially we on the same level, but mentally and everything else, and
I see. What about you, Nikhil?
Just like he said, phenotypically, yeah, we can all be black, but like over time, even before slavery, you know, we were all different. We can't just ignore the fact that like genetically we're different from, you know, how we look, culturally we're different. Like it was all different, but like black is I guess what ties us together. So I don't know. It is kind of a hard question to answer, but yeah.
All right. What about you, Saya?
Okay, so like this question to me is like a river delta. There's so many different ways a river can go into this one direction. So there's so many ways you can answer this question. For me, personality wise, no, we're not all the same. Culturally wise, not exactly. However, in terms of like being black, I do feel like there are ways we are very much the same. And for me, it goes down to the way our mannerisms, teeth kissing, even, when it comes to laughing, whether it be like clapping our hands or just being very exaggerate or running away when we laugh. I see both Africans and African Americans do that. To the way our parents raise us, especially those in Africa or those in the southern U.S. In my experience, they very similar to each other, and yeah, it's a bit hard. But for me, it all ties down to like how our mannerisms are and how we can relate to each other on that part.
Okay, I like that. What about you, Sule?
We're very, very similar, but we're very, very different. It's an awkward one. We kind of like, it's like we're related. Like, we all cousins and shit, but like at the same time, it's like we're very, very different.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like the smartest thing that I could think of, bro, is that like on different level, like I guess this is like a question with different levels and all that type of stuff. So like I'm gonna answer this question in almost like an indirect way, where like it almost doesn't answer the question, but like hopefully like you get the point that I'm making.
Wait,
Which,
wait, not to cut you off. I think I found a better. I found a better answer. Like I just realized, what Saya said with the mannerism and stuff like that. I mean, if you said, are we all the same, right? I we are different, right? In phenotypes, our physical structure, bone density, and stuff like that in our DNA, it's like quite a different little bit. Because um because like the thing is, right, with us black people, I feel like for some reason I connect better with a black person better than other races, if that makes sense. Like if it's like I view a black person like somebody I already knew, It's because like I always had that touch, I always had that touch with black people because like I could easily talk to them. You feel me? Like because like I look at them as one of me,
yeah,
we're all the same. So yeah, the thing is, and like one time I went to Africa and stuff like that. I went to the Cache area. You know, I chopped it up with the uncles and shit like that. The old heads.
yeah,
It was like it clicked like that. It was instant. I didn't mind you. I didn't even know these people like that. I didn't. It clicked instant. We started talking. I feel like I couldn't do that with any other races. It's like I had to build it up, step it up a little bit. Go in footsteps. So so yeah, that's the thing about man. And the thing about the laughing with them, what he said, the we laugh like we laugh like we know each other already. So
yeah,
that's why I just had to put that out there.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean, man. Like, I definitely agree, bro. Cause like going back to like how I was gonna answer the question, like, guess like yeah, there's like a lot of places that black people we call black or black people we all like relate, and then there are places where it's just like we're just completely different. Like it's not even close. So I'll just say this in a way where it kind of like doesn't really answer the question. One thing that like about black people is like we're very very diverse, and on top of us being diverse, we're like the embodiment or representation of like the origin of our species, the Homo sapien, whatever you want to call it. And so we're the only group of people who can like, like who like we're the only group of people that have this like level of diversity, you know what I'm saying, within us, and level of like like diversity and culture and differences among ourselves, but like under specific areas, you know what I'm saying, whether it be phenotypical, whether it be cultural, whether it be religious, whether it be experiences that we had, like we do relate to, to an extent. But yeah, that's basically my answer. I don't know if that really answers the question that I asked, but that's what I gotta say. So let me go through my notes and figure out the next questions. So okay, this is gonna be like one of the last questions. Like, okay, it's gonna be like a 2-part question. It's probably gonna be like the last question concerning like colonialism, white supremacy. I think. Don't quote me on that. So how do you feel like things like white supremacy have affected us on every level that you could imagine possible? Psychologically, religious, culturally, and our mindset. And should black people view themselves as victims of white supremacy? Are you against the victim mentality? Or are you against the victim mentality? Do you think we have too much victim mentality and we complain too much about what has been done? And do you think we need to take more action? So, to sum it all up, how do you think it affects us? Should we identify as victims? Why or why not? Starting with you, Guardian.
Okay, right. I feel like um the whole victim thing and stuff like that with this white supremacy and stuff like that. I feel like I've watched a documentary about this one African woman. She like it's been stated that it's kind of hard, but she kind of nearly inherited pain um from her great grandmother from all the all the slavery shit the slavery thing that she was going through, such as like whipping and all the like harsh conditions she was going through, stuff like that. That's why like in with this one what's it called, African American woman, she was just basically describing like all the pain and suffering she went through in her dreams. She said that her grandmother also came in her dream one time describing her and how what she went through and all of this. So I feel like it this whole thing is like a massive scar. It's like a massive wound. That's that's very hard to like stitch back up. Like let me tell you, like 400 plus years, bro. 400 plus years. I feel like that is something that can't be easily repaired. Yeah.
Let's see. All right, bro. What about you, Quick? You need me to restate the question, or you got it?
Yeah, restate that shit, bro.
All right. Let me look through my notes again, bro. Let me forget this stuff. How does white supremacy affect its victims psychologically, mentally, spiritually, culturally, all that type of stuff? And second part to that question, should black people view themselves as victims, the victims of white supremacy?
All right, shit. All right, before I go into my response to this question, it's two books I'm gonna recommend everybody read. It's called The Iceman Inheritance and Is It Me? Is it my hair? Is it my skin color? Is it my eyes? Or is it you? So basically, when we're looking at white supremacy, we have to see how it affected the whole world globally. So nuclear war, environmental pollution, resource rape. These are all primary threats to human survival, and this is mainly brought to and for from the Western world. And as far as how it affects Black people, I would say also look at it globally. It affects us, mentally, in the way we practice certain religions, our perception of self. You got colorists out here because of white supremacy. We got people who hate their own hair color. And it also affects us economically too, because you know what I'm saying? Niggas in America don't really got their own economic system, bro. So yeah. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Wait, what was the second part to the question? Oh, the victim shit.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like, bro, man, somebody did you wrong, bro. It's fuck them to the day I got down, dog. Like, you feel me? And all of these things that they did and put into fruition, it is affecting the world globally. So yeah, it's fuck them. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
All right. What about you, Nashia? You need me to restate the question, or you got it?
Nah, I got it. I'm gonna answer the victim mentality one first.
All right.
Because growing up, I do know that there's a lot of us with the victim mentality. Like, people, like the unemployment rate in America, how it was before COVID, it was just like everybody. I heard some people even say, oh, they want us to be out of a job. Like, sometimes the victim mentality does affect a certain demographic of people. I think it's the demographic of people with like the low self-esteem, and they always want to put it off. Like, I understand like what our ancestors went through, especially as an African American. I understand, but growing up, my parents always told me like, we went through this so you could be this, so you could do this, you know? So I feel like some of us do have to let go of that victim mentality. And the second, well, the first, actually, first part of the question, how does it affect us? I think, like he said, it does affect us globally because just how people were treated in the United States was literally the basis of the entire, of Hitler's entire movement. Like, he gave props to how America treated Black people, how the world treated Black people, and that's how he went about his whole thing with the Holocaust. Like, we have to realize that just because of our history, other people were treated this way, you know? And I feel like we just need to get it together as a whole group of people.
Okay, okay. I definitely agree with that. What about you, Sai? You need me to restate the question, or you already got it?
I think I got it.
All right.
So, in terms of like how it affects us globally. Wait, actually, yeah, please restate it.
All right, baby. Okay. How do you think white supremacy affects Black people psychologically, religiously, spiritually, culturally, like with our mindset and all that stuff? How do you think it affects us in those ways? And the second part to that question is, should Black people view themselves as victims of white supremacy?
Okay, so white supremacy, sorry, it affects us. It affected us from the day they left Europe and came to Africa. You know, they all started doing that little scramble for Africa, and then many centuries and times went by. They started conditioning people, Black people from everywhere in Africa and America, in the Caribbean, South America, and how and they create these caste systems and saying we're practically the lowest. And like, I don't, because I know that there's a lot of Black people who do have a victim complex in this context. However, personally, I don't like using that term in this context because I get it that there are some who definitely be like, "Oh, the system got us down. We can't do nothing. We can't get no job. We can't do nothing," and it can and cannot be true. You know, there's definitely many stories where white people have tore down or denied Black people of these jobs because of their names if they were too quote unquote ghetto. And also, destroying many different Black towns that are no longer here with us. And also, yeah, I just don't like it when other races of people, especially uses the word how the Black people, they got victim mentality, because it's like it also affected them as well, white supremacy, and just like Nashia said with the Hitler and his hatred and contempt for the Jewish community. And it still affects us even today. And a lot of people say, "Oh, it don't affect you no more." It obviously still affects us and many other groups. Same thing with, like, going a little bit off the rail, but same thing with like the Italian and Irish. A lot of them still think they're not, their proximity to whiteness is far away, because back then, they considered Irish and the Italians a completely different race, completely non-Aryan. So it's a little weird that they say, "Oh, this don't affect y'all," but like, look at the world. Look at how they treat dark skins and they treat dark skins like we're the worst. And of course, darker skinned people in different communities, Indian, South Asian, Southeast Asian, and all that. So, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Sule? You need me to restate the question, or you already got it?
Yeah.
Restate the question.
Yep.
All right. So basically, how does white supremacy affect Black people psychologically, spiritually, basically every way you can think possible? How does white supremacy affect us? And should let me hold on. Should Black people view themselves as victims of white supremacy?
We'll start with the first question. White supremacist way it affects is basically it caused many black people to basically think that they're inferior, you know, which is not good because when you feel inferior, you know, you're prone to having low self-esteem, low confidence, and all that other stuff. You're not gonna be comfortable in your skin. You know, you're not gonna be able to achieve what you want. I'm just that's one. Second question: should black people view themselves as a victim? I mean, when it comes down to like, let's say opportunities and stuff. So if you're going through some hard shits, like we could get it, but then also you could work hard towards it. You know. So I wouldn't say it's best to view yourself as a victim, because there's people out there that view themselves as a victim and they make excuse like they have no self control. I'm talking no discipline, nothing. You know, but it really just comes down to like, yeah, sometimes you gotta go through the hard times and you gotta work your way out. You gotta work your way out of it. You know, so that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too, man. Like, the way I see it, first off, like answering the first question is like, white supremacy has sort of made black people around the globe like want to escape everything that is black. Everything, not everything that is black, but specifically everything that is like demonized about being black. That's mainly the thing that black people around the globe want to escape. This is why we have like, I'm not gonna mention specific nations, but people would say, "Oh, I'm not black. I'm this. I'm not." You know, the main reason why, like, on top of like, yeah, you can be proud of your culture, like, you know what I'm saying, like your own little particular culture, but like a lot of the times I feel like people do it because they just want to escape that association with what white supremacy has painted to, you know, to be the representation of blackness and what it is. And concerning the victim thing, like I'm more with like Sule on this, where it's like we shouldn't really officially view ourselves as victims, but like, you know, like we shouldn't label ourselves that. But at the same time, it is very important to like recognize the things that have happened in the past and to use that as fuel, motivation, and or reason to move accordingly. So like a lot of the times when I see things with like this victim, like especially when people try to like, I guess I won't even say like they do it consciously, but like when you go on TikTok or you go on like the internet and you see like videos about like, this is what white people did to black people, and this time this is why it's all because of racism. See, white supremacy, bad, bad, bad. And it's like most of the time when you see these things, they mostly try to get you like from an emotional standpoint. So I would want to like, instead of thinking ourselves as victims, like I'm basically recommending more of like logical, practical thinking, to where it's like we don't like burden ourselves with the emotional side of it. You get what I'm saying? And sort of think logically, like, okay, we can acknowledge this, that, and the third happened. Where do we go from here? You know, how do we progress? And based off of that, you know, whatever conclusion we need to come to, whatever things we need to do, you know, we get done. So the next question, it's a question more directly towards the diaspora, where I probably should have asked some of these questions earlier, but that didn't happen. So can Africans appropriate African American culture, and is it the same as when white people or non-blacks are appropriating African American culture? And then if you want to go the extra mile, you can answer the question the other way around. So like, can African Americans appropriate African culture, and is it the same when whites or non-Africans appropriate African culture? Now, I ain't gonna lie, I feel like it's kind of like a common sense. I can already like imagine a little bit about what people are gonna say, what y'all gonna say, but like, again, like with that one question about being black, like challenge the very first question, or not the very first question, the very first answer in your that popped up in your mind? Yes or no? Challenge it. So let's start off with you, Guardian.
Um, yo, I'm gonna need you to simplify the question real quick, bro.
All
Say
right,
it
all
again.
right. Can Africans appropriate African American culture, and is it the same as when whites or non-blacks um appropriate African American culture? We'll do it like this. We'll go around 2 times. So first, we're gonna answer the first one. Can Africans appropriate African American culture? Once everybody's done, then we'll do can African Americans appropriate African culture, just to make it like easy and like I don't like make you stress out whatever. But yeah, so can Africans appropriate African American culture? Is it the same as when white or non-black people appropriate African American culture?
Okay, so we're gonna start with the first one, right? I feel like the with the first one, right? With the first question, it could be easily said. Um, a lot of people. All right, so coming from my point and stuff like that, um, the appropriation for African culture. For me, you know the director of Black Panther, right? I
Mm,
forgot his name. It started with something, Cooper something, right?
mm,
Um, he was an African American, right?
mm,
And I feel like he appropriated the culture more of African due due to the fact that like we never had like a African type of film, right? Based in Africa, right? The Uganda, I mean not Uganda, but Wakanda, right? And when it like when this movie was worldwide, right?
mm.
It like it opened a lot of people's minds on Wakanda. I mean not Wakanda, but African people and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
it just like that movie that with the African American director, right? He opened a lot of minds with the African culture appropriation.
Mm,
So from that on, like I mean, like before there was not that much of African culture being appreciated like that, you know. But
mm.
ever since like 2018, like it was on social media, it was in like New York, Times Square, it was everywhere, man. Like Chadwick Boseman was getting a lot of credit and all this, man. It was like it was wonderful. So, uh, props up to Cooper for for the appreciation of African culture, and it opened a lot of minds for young people and adults. So yeah.
I see. Yeah. So I feel like you answered the question the other way around. So yeah, but like yeah, I definitely agree with what you said, man. Or like I see what you said. You know, very interesting perspective. What about you, Quick? Can Africans appropriate African American culture? And is it the same as white people or non-black people appropriating African American culture?
Bruh, if you a nigga, bro, I don't care. You could dap me up, walk up to me, be like, hey, yeah, what's up, man? I don't give a fuck if you African or what. But nah, that's not the same if a white person come up to me. Like, white person come up to me, dap me up, what's up, my nigga? But yo, I'm gonna beat your motherfucking ass home, you feel me? But nah, bro, it's not the same. And the reason it's not the same is because, like, we've been demonized as black people globally, for practicing our culture, for doing voodoo, for doing Ifa, for, having different belief systems outside of the normal Abrahamic religions. And these are coming from non-black people demonizing us. I ain't never see a African demonize another African, bro. You practicing voodoo, bro? You're eating. Like, bro, fuck out my face. But yeah, shit, you could dap me up, you could dance, do whatever. I don't care. As long as you black, it don't make no difference to me.
I see, I see. What about you, Nashia? You need me to restate the question or you got it? I think your mic kind of messed up. Try to like mute and unmute. It's a little bit the same. I can't really hear too good. Let me try to try to like lead a call and then come back. All right, can you hear?
Y'all can hear me now?
All right, but yeah, we can hear. All right.
Okay.
You need me to restate the question or you got it?
You can restate it.
All right. Can Africans appropriate African American culture, and is it the same as white people or non-black people appropriating African American culture?
It depends on where you're from in Africa, I guess. But in the same breath, I really don't know because West Africans, I'm kind of iffy because like a lot of our culture, like you know, stems from West Africans, I guess. But it's not the same as a white person. It's just like you got to have the understanding of like, yeah, your culture, well, our culture, like came from y'all, but like it was made by those who, came about, like the slaves.
I see. All right. What about you, Syed? You need me to restate the question or you got it?
Nah, I haven't. I agree with that shit. Like, I'm a little, because like I don't care for Africans to like. Man, how can I put this? When it comes to West and Central Africans, yes, most of our culture do stem from them. I guess there are ways to like indirectly appropriate it, because when people come over here, people are gonna catch up onto a culture because like it's all ill all around us. It's everywhere, and people are not really understanding where it came from because America don't really give much props to a culture. They don't really tell us, and they don't really spread the information how it came, the root it came from. I generally don't care though if Africans quote unquote appropriate a culture. Not as much, obviously everything comes with respect. So of course, like everything else, we treat it as respect. Definitely ain't the same thing as white people appropriating because be honest with you, I do not like white people doing anything that we do at all. I'm just being straight up. I do not like when they do anything that we do. But when it comes to other black people, especially Africans, Caribbeans, all that, I don't care. Just, obviously respect and everything like that.
Hmm. Okay, I like that. What about you, Sule? You need me to restate the question or you got it?
Oh yeah, I got it. So I was gonna say, look, if you're African and you adopted some African American culture, please respect African Americans. Just please, like just be real with yourself. Like don't do African American stuff and then expect you don't do African American stuff and then you disrespect African Americans. So I'll just say this, like, look, if you respect African American culture, then that's what really comes down to. So yeah.
I see. I see. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, if for like us Africans, you know what I'm saying? Like, most of us, including myself, like, yeah, we like since we live in America. Like, of course, like, you know, we're gonna appropriate some African American culture. You know, it just happens. You know, I don't always think it's a negative. I think only becomes negative when it's like you disrespect African Americans or totally disregard the origin of that culture that we are appropriating. Um, but then you know, I also don't think it is the same when it comes to like non-blacks appropriating African American culture. But at the same time, it's like there's different levels to it, cause like we can say like African American stems from like more West and Central African culture, but like personally, like me, like I'm not West or Central African, I'm East African. So like I don't really know if I could really like use that point, you know what I mean, to say like, oh, like, you know, as Africans we've contributed, but it's like, you know, like my specific people, like, I don't know how much, like realistically how much we really did contribute. But you know, one thing like that's interesting about this is like when I first was hearing this going on in the diaspora, where it kind of like stopped me in my tracks. It stopped me in my tracks, and I was kind of just like I really had to think about it. Where I was like, you know, like, well, when people brought up this point, I did have to tell myself like, well, you know, you like you do appropriate a lot of African American culture. Like, you know, you live in America. Like, you know, sometimes you talk like them. You're a rapper. I make music sometimes, so it's like I do appropriate the culture a lot. But like I think there's just different levels to it. So yeah, that's my answer. But okay. Let's see what we got next. Okay, these are just like, okay, it's the question the other way around. So a Guardian, you already answered the question. You already answered the question. Like you answered like, can African Americans appropriate African culture? So like, I don't know if you want to answer that question again, then yeah. Or like if you want to answer the African American one first, and then I'll restate the question for a quick, so you can answer the African one.
Okay, so I think already like, I've already like, but the thing is like, you said like African, like, you said like, African. Oh, no, you said Africans, right? Like appreciating like African American culture. Is that what you said?
Yeah, like us basically like
Oh, okay. I got it the other
practicing
way.
their culture. Yeah, it's all good though, cause we're gonna answer both questions anyway. So it's like whatever.
So I already answered the second question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, just answer the question we all just answered.
Okay, so for the most part, um, Africans like appreciating like African American culture. It's like I really don't have like a good opinion on this. You know, it's not something that I've seen often. Like I don't really I can't really pick up on it. You know, like for me, like certain type of Africans, like they are very like they don't adapt as easy. Like they don't adapt to like, you know, other types of cultures other than their own strictly. So I really cannot answer the question for you unless I go like unless I look into it, you know. So yeah.
Okay. I see. What about you, Quake? Can African Americans appropriate African culture? And like, just to like make the question harder than it is, cause like, just to make it harder, like to add like extra things, like, let's consider African culture on like in context of like the whole continent, and not just like specifically where African Americans originate from. But like at the same time, you can still like mention like, you know, that part of that side, because like, you know, like I don't know if African Americans get called out for like appropriating other groups of Africans culture, or if it's mainly like West Africans who try to say stuff like that. So like, sort of give us a little bit of your experience, if that's ever happened, or if you ever seen that, how you feel, and your perspective.
For sure. Shit. That ain't never really happened to me personally. but it probably did to another motherfucker. But I feel like, yeah, bro, we should be able to practice that shit. That's why blood comes from. You feel me? It's in our DNA. You know what I'm saying? And we trace back to the continent. And when you look at all of the cultures, you know, all the cultures, they share similarities with one another. They're not exactly the same, but they do share common similarities with one another. So I feel like, hell yeah, you feel me? I be practicing the fuck out that shit.
Okay. I like that. What about you, Nasir?
I definitely do think we can appropriate like African cultures because, like you said, Africa is a continent. So it's like that has different tribes, and each tribe has different cultures and so on. And it's just like it's okay to like connect to your roots, but connect to your roots enough to know where you come from. And where you come from is like more than a country because, you know, the borders didn't exist when your people were taken from these places. So like understand where you come from, then you have to dig deeper and find your tribe or whatever. And once you find your tribe, I just really think if you want to reconnect, don't go about it by yourself because that's where it can get disrespectful. So in short, yes, African Americans can appropriate African culture because if you're randomly practicing, let's say, what, a culture, and you say, oh, everybody I know, they come from Igbo culture. Oh, so I'm gonna just practice Igbo culture, but whole time you're either like Edo or like Yoruba or something like that. Like just make sure you start where you need to start and do it the right way.
Okay. I like that answer. What about you, Saya? You need me to restate the question? You got it.
I have it. Yes, it is definitely can appropriate different African cultures. Like, yes, I understand we be mixed, but you know, with so many different Central African tribes in them, but there is definitely a way to go about exploring your roots. Me personally, because I get a few mutuals, you know, commenting and you know DMing me and saying like, oh my gosh, we appreciate you just like you know doing this and like showcasing this. I'm like, and I you know I be happy that I show appreciate different cultures and I try to do it in the most respectful way. And I do feel like if you are and you want to reconnect, you don't necessarily even have to find a genealogy yet. If you have the money, you can go ahead and do that. But if you don't have the money, you can just explore, you know, different African cultures, and especially the ones that your people mostly came from. And you know, there's still documents of where, you know, even where you live, where majority of those African tribes were taken, such as like if you were taken to the Carolinas and Georgia, you mostly got a lot of Sierra Leone, Senegambia, Congolese roots. If you were taken to like Virginia, you got a lot of Angolan roots and stuff like that. So yes, be mindful of what culture you're looking into. You can definitely appropriate. I see a lot of some AAs tend to appropriate a lot of East African cultures. So yeah, but you know, this obviously, yeah, you can still go about it in a respectful way because there are things that overlap.
I see. Okay, I like that answer. What about you? Sule? You got it?
Yeah, you know, they could look into like their ancestors, what tribe they come from, and try out like what custom they've been doing and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't really got much to say, but yeah, like as long as it's in a respectful manner, that's what really matters. So I don't really got much to say.
Okay.
Bro, I
Yeah.
got something to add. I got it.
Yeah. Go
All
ahead.
right, shit. Yeah, I was thinking like me. I'm the type of nigga, you feel me? So like the way I view the coaches is like I view them bitches as different ice cream flavors, you feel me? So like say for example, one culture vanilla ice cream, one culture strawberry ice cream, and one culture chocolate ice cream. I'm the nigga, if all three of them bitches taste good, I'm a practice all three of them hoes. You feel me? Eat all three of them bitches. You feel me? But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Yeah, for sure.
I see. Yeah, I can respect that. You know, I can respect that. Like the way I kind of see it is kind of just like this whole cultural appropriation thing is like it's like I guess I can say like a funny topic, especially when it comes to like Africans, because like starting off in Africa alone, like especially like I ain't like I see a lot of East African TikTok a lot of the time like Africans call out each other for appropriating each other's culture. So it's kind of just like that right there is kind of just like, you know, I guess like something worthy like noting. Like a lot of the times I see like, for example, like y'all seen the, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like East African TikTok, but like a couple months ago there was like the Jalabia versus Bati wars, and like it was basically Sudanese, South Sudanese, Somalis arguing over like cultural clothing and like who does it belong to, what's the difference. I honestly didn't even pay attention to that any of that, but like, you know, and like certain things, like, you know, like a lot of Africans, they call out each other on each other, you know, for practicing each other's culture. But like a lot of the times it's just because like influence happens, you know, like people who are closer together, they're gonna share cultures. They're gonna, you know, it's always gonna be like that, you know, culture spreads, it's shared, it's whatever, you know. So when it comes to like African Americans practicing African culture, like honestly, like yeah, man, like I really don't really mind, because again, like, you know, there's the point like a lot of African Americans don't really know like truly like what exact tribe, region of Africa, like they might know the region, but like they don't know like their actual people they came from. You know what I mean? They might not know that in like detail. You know, you can only deal with like probability. Like you can probably like estimate the probability. Like okay, like since I'm here, like you said, like if you're from Virginia, if you're from California, you're probably from this area, that area. But I think African Americans definitely should be able to practice African cultures. You know, cause like again, like I guess it's almost that like thing of unity in Black people. Like we all relate to an extent. You know, as long as we're just mindful and respectful of the people of a certain particular culture, you know, it's always like, you know, it's never really a problem. You get what I'm saying? And then especially when it comes to like African Americans, especially like the cultures, like if you're like African American, you've been doing research and like you find your culture, or like, you know, you try to practice some African culture generally, like I don't think it's a bad thing, you know? Like you know, I respect the effort, you know what I'm saying, to like try to reconnect with your ancestors, you know what I'm saying? Versus, you know, like just I don't wanna call certain communities, but like just going and claiming it, like, you know, like these people get roasted on the internet a lot. So like, you know, claiming Hebrew. But it's not even just African Americans who do it too. It's like sometimes it's all Africans across the world, you know, claim origin to something like they know they aren't really from. But just because of the hype, just because, you know, it's an escape to who they know they are, is kind of just, or like who they think they are, I should say. They like are adopted without any question. So yeah, man. So let me see any more questions I got. Okay, I'll make this one about cultural appropriation. Like, why do you think people call out each other for cultural appropriation? This is probably like one of the last two questions. So, yeah, how do you feel about the whole concept of cultural appropriation? Why do you think people care about it so much, especially nowadays? Is it important? Are there different levels to it? How do you feel about that? So we'll start off with you, Guardian.
Vior, just come back to me about this one. You know, I'm a rebounder, bro.
All right,
Uh,
bet.
yeah.
All right. Quick. So you got the um. Hold on, give me one second, bro. I feel like I
All right,
just
sure.
skipped a whole bunch of people. Did I skip y'all, bro? I ain't gonna lie. I'm kind of tired right now, bro. Did I skip anybody for any question? Or y'all went?
I don't think so.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my fault. I'm kind of have brain fog, bro. But okay, yeah. So quick, you need me to restate the question, or you already got it?
But that shit was like, how I feel about people calling people out for cultural appropriation.
Yeah. Like this whole concept, you know. How do you feel about it?
And man, I feel like for the most part, it is kind of stupid, but like, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody shares something from everybody culture, you feel me? Whether it's something even little, I feel like you can appreciate somebody else's culture and be like, damn, that shit cool as fuck. Damn, I want to do that. You feel me? Like type shit.
Mm.
But I do feel like I am saying it from the other person's perspective because it's just like, bro, like, but nigga, you still in my shit. You feel me? So I'm 50-50 with it. But I don't give a fuck. I be stealing everybody's shit. You feel me?
What about you, Nashia?
Um, I think calling people out for cultural appropriation, it's, I think it could be a good thing and a bad thing because it's like if you calling somebody out for cultural appropriation when they're trying to find themselves in their roots, it can like discourage them to do so and put them back at square one. But then again, it's like I'm calling you out because I'm educating you on why you're wrong, why you're doing this the wrong way, you know? So I think the biggest like part of cultural appropriation is how you go about it and like how you should understand that people are going to come at you and you need to know like to open your mind and know when somebody tells you that you're wrong, you stop it, you know? Just like don't keep dragging it.
Okay. I like that. What about you, Saya? You need me to repeat the question or you got it?
I got it. I got it. I think I do. So when it comes to calling people out for cultural appropriation, it's definitely like for me, it's like it depends on how you go about it. If somebody's trying to if somebody's genuine, you know, trying to reconnect with something that they might be a part of, I think it's important to, and if like you know, and if they cross a boundary that they're not aware of, I think it is definitely appropriate to call them out, but in a educating type of manner, like in a more of a respectful kind of calming tone, because you know if you give it out in a angry tone, or like, oh, you can't do this, you know, it'll definitely discourage them. And yeah, you know, it just all comes about how you say it, how you educate people. Now, if people are like genuine, they know what they're doing for the most part, and not overstepping boundaries and all that. I do think it's kind of crazy how you do get people. There are people who get mad at other black people from exploring different cultures. Um, when it comes to close practices, that's understandable. And yes, understandable. Culture is very important to people. Has a lot of meaning to it. So I understand people who do get angry and call it people on cultural appropriation on that part. But you know, it also comes down to if they're genuine about it, if they're want to learn about it. I think it does help to guide them in a direction and correct them in the right way. If I'm making sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. What about you, Sule? How do you feel about cultural appropriation?
Just like just like everybody just said, like, look, you should get called out in a respectful and educated way. Not in the way, like, don't get called out. Like, you shouldn't call out somebody like, oh, what about you do that? No, just be calm and collected and explain in details. And from there you learn.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely agree with what you guys said, man. Like, educating is very important. I also think like context is like also like a very, very important like part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the context? The context will let you know whether you need to educate this person or just like let this person be. Whether you should like be a little bit more like aggressive with like, you know what I'm saying, you calling out versus like whether it's like, you can really just chill out and just explain like, yeah, this is how this is done. This is, and like just sort of like list out the requirements of what they need to know. So this is the last question. I know I had y'all in for a while, so you could just relax with this question, but it's also like, I don't know. I want to see what you guys got to say, but do you have any friends, family, or anything that have been mean to Africans or African Americans? So it's the last question concerning the diaspora, and then we, what I'm saying, we're gonna do the outro. So, what do you gotta say about this, Guardian?
For the most part, like, oh, all right, hold on. I lost my train of thought. Can you say the question again?
Do you have any friends, family, anybody who you knew, like before or now, have ever made fun of Africans or African Americans?
Um, for the most part, I had both, right? Like
Mm.
I have from both parties. Like I could talk about the African side and stuff like that. For the
Yeah.
African side, you know, it's like when I was growing up with friends and stuff like that. It's like with African friends, it's just that they never wanted it to be viewed. They never wanted to be viewed with other African Americans, right? Due to the fact how their behavior is. Like I remember one time, like for like my African friend, right? He wanted to move away from the classroom, away from the African American kid, due to the fact um he was acting, you know, the things he got from home, right? He doesn't have home training. And from that point on, it's like I've seen that diaspora war since I was little. I've seen it from both parties. So like from the kid, so the African kid not liking the American kid due to the fact of behavioral things, and he was like, so basically what the American kid was doing was like he was like bringing drama. He was not listening to the kid and stuff like that. And the African kid, right? He
Mm.
learned from his parents that African Americans act in a certain way, you know, uh, to express themselves and stuff like that.
Mm.
That is what's called a stereotype.
Yeah.
So what this African kid was, he learned some stereotypes from his elders and stuff like that, and that's why he just never felt comfortable being wrapped around African Americans like that, right?
Mm.
So it and sometimes with Africans, they feel embarrassed, like they
Yeah.
feel embarrassed being around African Americans, and for the African America and the other party, right? The
Mm.
African Americans, right? They view like they when it comes to them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen harsh things that's been said to Africans. Harsh things like African booty scratcher. Go back to your land. Go back to your country. You do not belong here. The colorist also comes into play, like such as like you dark as shit. And all this you probably you and they like to throw ignorant comments such as like you don't have bottled water, you guys don't have water and all that, right?
Mm.
Stuff like I've seen it from the African Americans. This back and forth stuff. I've seen it for a while, and I've seen it since I was a kid. Seen it from both parties. So like I don't know how to like I don't know how to come about this. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Uh, I was gotta have like similar experiences. What about you, Craig? Have you ever had any friends or knew any people right now or in the past that have made fun of Africans or African Americans?
Bro, hell yeah, bro. Like, little shit. I was like chilling in the kitchen type shit. You feel me? I'm hungry than a motherfucker, but I get some food and shit. So then, like, my uncle come up and shit. I don't know. He was talking to my girlfriend about like black women is like great and some shit like that. Then he started talking shit about African. I'm like, nigga, what the fuck, nigga? I'm like, nigga, your ass is an African boy. And that was really it. Other than that, probably a few times in elementary school about like African booty scratching and shit like that. And I'll just be like, what the fuck? But that was really it, bro. To be honest.
Okay, I see. What about you, Nasir? Have you ever known anybody in the past, present, future, not in the future, but past, present, who have made fun of Africans or African Americans?
Like not in my family, but like growing up in elementary school, we had like I think my first grade year is like when a lot of like I started like noticing a lot of like West Africans move. And we had two Nigerians. They were twin brothers, and like they would just get it from like a bunch of the other first grader, like African booty scratcher this, African booty scratcher that. And it was like mostly because they were African, not because they were dark skinned, because they were two light skinned boys. And it was just like I seen how it affected them. And as like we progressed through like elementary school, they ended up like leaving our elementary school. Like their mom, like, you know, moved them back home going into our second grade year. So, you know, like just growing up around like certain groups of people, you know, it was just like as I got older, you know, I started like to tell people like, hey, like it's not what we do. Like you really need to read up on your history and stuff by the time I was in middle school. But I don't really think I've seen it like the other way around where I'm from, other than like I guess going into like markets and stuff where like the aunties will like follow people around. But like I never got that because I guess the way that I carry myself, I guess. But yeah, I've seen it on both sides, but from my ethnicity's perspective more.
Okay. What about you, Sai? Have you ever known anyone? Do you know anyone in the present or in the past that's made fun of Africans or African Americans?
So thankfully, my family ain't ever did that because, you know, they started. I won't say recently, but like I guess it was like once I started to like get back in touch with, you know, my roots and stuff like that. They started to also see themselves as, you know, African people as well. But yes, in school, simply because we didn't have that many. I don't even think we had. I don't know if we really did or not have Africans in my class, but I do know. But I do know that they have been. They've definitely said African booty scratcher towards each other, mostly to you know, no, each other's. You know, it's been saying that to each other and stuff like that. But I've not really seen anyone in my life that's really made fun of one. You know, an African person in person or an African made fun of an African American in person. I will say once when I started like embracing it heavily in high school, cause I did it, I've been doing it like back in middle school, but like once I started to really get into it and I started like when a dashiki, they started calling me African booty scratch and, you know, did the Wakanda jokes to me. I'm like, boy, I'm just like you, like what? But yeah, no, and just a small minor thing. It's not really all that serious, but like when, you know, when some people in my family, like cousins or aunties, they say, "Oh, I got my hair done by the Africans." I be trying to tell them like, don't say the Africans. I don't like that. I generally just don't like that because like you're trying to separate yourself from them. Just say you got it done by the African hair shop and stuff like that. But you know, generally no. I've never, in my personal experience, I've never had anyone make fun of either or.
Okay. It's interesting. What about you, Sule? Have you ever known anybody in the present or
Hell. Yeah, of course I had an incident where people like I've been around. It was like you fucking African booty scratcher and all this other shit. Oh, you like to, oh you be in the jungle and all the other shit, right? Whatever. But I don't really care. But and then I had an incident where there's people that was talking to me about like, oh, African American this and a third, and I'm just like, okay. But like really, like again, these people, both sides is retarded. You know, low IQ. So I'm gonna just say, personally, me, from personal experience, of course, I had my fair share. Even with VR, you remember middle school? You already know middle school. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, my personal experience, bro, like I kind of always viewed myself in like the middle because like I seen a little bit of both sides, but like I never was like the person, you know what I'm saying, like doing that. Like mainly like okay, like I told you guys earlier, like I used to be like on the receiving end of African jokes and like, you know what I'm saying, like even stuff like it would lead into like me getting into fights consistently, like as a kid, you know what I'm saying, just over stupid stuff like, you know, you get disrespected for no reason just because you are like African, and then like, you know, me being like extra dark skin, and like, you know what I'm saying, at the earlier my earlier years, I also had like a really big gap. So had it a little bit rough, bro. Had it a little bit rough. Um, but I also had like, times like where like, even I'll even be real, like sometimes like my parents, they'll like tell me like certain things like, oh, like African Americans, like a lot of they'll be like, like a lot of them behave this type of way, like, like the ghetto, you know what I mean? Like they'll say that type of stuff, and like honestly, I always viewed myself in the middle. And like when it comes to like my parents specifically, like, like I like recently, like as time has progressed, like again, like I said, like they let go of these stereotypes a lot more. But like growing up, like yeah, like some of my parents, did used to have those views as well. And like, what I'm saying, it was just like, like I guess you can say like consistent things, like even when I moved to Arizona, there's like a whole lot of Mexicans here, so like I used to get racist comments from them. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be sitting in class and like some Mexican kid will call me like a negro or like something like that, like just for no reason. Even had like one of my Mexican friends tell me like, I don't even remember how the conversation went, but I was like, like what's it called? It was like some sort of like, I guess back and forth I guess we had. You know what I'm saying? He was just like, I'm Mexican and it's like it's better than being African, and I was just like, damn. Like that nigga.
Fuck went back.
You said what?
Fuck went back.
Let's not.
Yeah, he said like, he just said like, it's better than being African. I was just like, damn, like I thought we were supposed to be friends, bro. Like, but yeah, and then like sometimes too, like I got a whole bunch of experience. I might just tell y'all some, like sometimes it's like one time I was going up to like this one neighborhood, and like I was talking with these one people, and like this white kid just screamed out laughing, like, and laughed out like, oh, he's blackish. And he was one of those white people who like you know what I'm saying, like acts very African American too, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he seen me, he just screamed out laughing like, oh, he's black as fuck, he's black as shit. And I just kind of stood there and I just looked at him. I didn't really say anything. And like everybody else around us was black or African American, and like we just didn't even like entertain what he said at all, bro. It was just like, it was very awkward, you know what I'm saying? And then like other times where it's like, one time I was like in this parking lot. We were like in the parking lot of an apartment complex, and we was like chilling by the cars. And like this is when I was like younger, so it was like middle school years. This one guy, he was just saying like, oh no, like I'm not your brother. I'm not like we're not brothers. You know what I'm saying? You're too dark to be my brother and all that type of shit. And like, it was like metaphorically because we're all black, but like, he was like, you're saying you're too dark to be my brother. And like one of my homies, my homie's dad, he was there, cause he was there in the parking lot with us too, and he was just saying like, nah, like we all black. Like he was basically telling him like nah, like why you treating like a little kid like this? Cause this was a grown man who was saying this, and he was like, my friend's dad was just like, yeah, why you treating this little guy like this? Like, we all brothers, we all related. You know what I'm saying? And my friend's dad was an African American too, so like I got experiences on both sides, both ends. Like I can see, like I seen prejudice going both ways, and like one thing I said in my video is usually due to just like stereotypes, like, and people want to escape certain stereotypes and certain narratives of like what white supremacy or whatever you want to call it painted what being black, what they painted being black to be like. So yeah, man. So that was the last questions, the end of this podcast. If you guys have any ending word, anything you guys want to end on, any social medias you want to shout out, like this is the time to do that. So we'll start with you, Guardian. After we finish, I'm gonna leave the VC.
Okay, for the most part, right? Is one thing. I've said this to you before in the video. I think one thing we could start to do as a civilization, right, is unify. And the first step to unification will be educating educating our people. And I feel like, if we can educate at least 50% of the African or actually the black population, you know, we'll start making progression. You feel me? Um, I feel I feel like in the better days, in the better years, and in the future, I hope that later on we could we could go past this. We could go past this, like all this war, diaspora war, this racism war. I just hope for the better. And yeah, so yeah, man. As I said before, um, I post like educational posts such as history and science on Instagram. I'm X Mustaf, XMUSDAF on Instagram. So yeah.
All right, bet. What about you, Quake? Last words. Shout out your socials, the channel. I'll link that.
All right.
I'll link that. Yeah.
Shit, my closing remarks is like, I just want to give a special thanks to BR, you feel me, for letting me be up on this bit. But
No
y'all
problem.
can follow me on all platforms at Quantas. It's QUANTA1S. And you feel me, I'm out this motherfucker.
All right. What about you, Nisia?
First, I would like to say thank you to you for reaching out to me to do this. And y'all can follow on every platform at NESHIAA.D and NESH2A on TikTok.
All right, bet. What about you, Sai? Social medias. Last words.
I just want to say it's been real nice and fun to talk and share my thoughts and hear hear other people's thoughts and stuff like that. And if you want to follow me, I'll be on TikTok. It's JOFRIIKO. So if your boy want to stop by and just see me, you can do that.
All right, bet. And then on you, Sule. Social medias. Last words.
I'll just say, hope y'all doing having a great day. My social media is Sule.Ladu5, so that's what I'm say. But peace.
All right, bet. And final words from me. You guys already know who I am. If you want to be involved in these conversations, you want to spread your ideas, learn, definitely be sure to join this Discord server, the New Sudan Now Valley Elite. And yeah, follow my social medias, Instagram King Bior, TikTok King Bior17 or Kush Royalty. Leave a like, subscribe, you know what I'm saying? Tell us your thoughts in the comment section. And again, if you want to get in contact with us, if you want to be a part of these podcasts and be a member of this channel and this community, join the Discord server and get in contact with us. So yeah, finished. We done.
All right. Thank you for having me.